Hello, Buckeye fans, and welcome to the Gilmer Buckeye Coaches Show. I'm Jeff Rash. I'm here with the head coach of the Gilmer Buckeyes, Mr. Alan Metzel. Alan, congratulations on another win.
Thank you.
We found that Henderson's defense was a little selfish.
They were tough.
Yeah.
They were tough.
Now, you told us last week in the Coaches Show that they were going to throw the kitchen sink at us from defensive looks.
Right.
Castle,
yes,
who's been there for 8 years, is a defensive coordinator. That's what he does, right? You were offensive coordinator. He's a defensive guy.
That's right.
So you knew it was going to be a bit of a challenge.
Right.
Not to mention, I think people should be aware, this is a Division I school we're playing. The enrollment there is about 200 to 250 kids more than we have to choose from. Right. So they had some big bruisers. They had plenty of speed. Their nose guard, not even that big. But you said he'd be a problem, and
he's
he was.
About 250, and he can move and just has a lot of savvy. He played well.
The guy can move, and he was nearly devastating.
He caused us some real issues.
He really did. So they were the real deal defensively.
They were.
So they really you were right about that for one thing. They showed a lot of
looks.
A lot of looks.
You saw a lot of looks.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, you said they'd be running a 4-3, they'd be running a 5-0, but there was some stuff in there I've never even seen before.
There's some hybrid stuff. He does that. And he gives all sorts of looks and then bails and gives certain looks and presses, and he's trying to get into the heads of the guys. And it did at times. Yeah,
very effective. So let's go through the game here. We'll talk about some stuff in a moment. Obviously, right off the get-go, and I don't think any Buckeye fans were truly worried, but right from the word go, the rain was a factor. Obviously, the rain was coming down there for hour and a half before the game. The field was saturated, the balls were wet, and they kicked a little pooch kick, and really made a nice kick. It was a great kick.
He couldn't have kicked a better kick. Our guy made the right play. We just didn't catch it, and then they recover it. All of a sudden, that's a momentum boost for them. And they jumped on us and took it down and scored right there on that first drive.
And I was a little surprised at how well they executed offensively, because we weren't expecting that from them. We knew we'd see good defense, but to see them execute that well offensively was a little surprising.
Well, and I think part of it was our guys, kind of stunned our guys from just the standpoint of they hit us on that play, and we didn't handle that transition well.
Yeah.
You saw we kind of settled down as things went on defense.
Yeah, they definitely did, and we're going to talk about that, how well they did settle. But then right out of the bat, so they're up right off
7-0.
7-0.
Right.
And so we're like, okay, no problem. Let's let them kick to us again. We get the ball, and the very first play at scrimmage.
We fumble, and they scoop and score.
And you're thinking, man, we are snake bit. This is terrible.
Not good.
This is not good. As a
coach,
what are you thinking at that point? Does that rattle you at all, or are you thinking, okay, 2 flukes, we got this? What are you thinking?
Does it rattle you? It bothers you. It makes you upset, and then you have to put that in its place and go, okay, here we go. We got to consider next play and get focused. And really, the guys did. I'm very pleased with that. There was no squirming on the sidelines or, none of that.
Yeah.
They were like, all right, man, let's go. And they did.
It's all business.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and that was a key to us coming back.
What are you coaches telling the guys on the sideline when something like that happens? I mean, we were like 2.5 minutes off the clock, and they're already up.
Right, 14-0.
Yeah, 14-0. So what are you saying on the sidelines?
Well,
what's happening down there?
We're reminding them and making sure they understand that these are on us. We're the ones hurting us. Obviously they made some plays, but if we make our plays, those don't hurt us.
Yeah.
Well, we've got to take care of us.
Yeah.
So let's lock it down, refocus, start right now.
Yeah.
One drive at a time, one play at a time, and then we took it down and scored. On the next drive. So that was important.
That was important.
Right.
So tell me, let's talk about overall game performance. We always like to start with a positive. So what things did you see that you were encouraged by in week 2?
Okay, week 2. Last week we talked about the defense was wanting to get going a little bit more, take it up a notch. Well, they did. So overall they had a phenomenal game. And really, aside from that first drive, they played a phenomenal game. And we can talk about that more. But so that happened. We talked last week about special teams being better. Now, obviously, we dropped the opening kickoff, so we've got to get that fixed. But our kickoff team was better. Our punt team played well. Our extra point team played well. All those other areas really tightened up, so that was good. I was pleased with those things. And then from the broader scope standpoint, I was really pleased with how the guys found a way to win. That's what it comes down to. Yeah. And in our Buckeye makers and all those things, we're always putting them in a position where it's hard and you have to figure out a way. And that was one of those games where you had to figure out a way to win, even though you're not at your best.
It was a battle to the last minute.
Yeah,
literally to the last minute. Yeah, it was. And we said this last week. I thought that everybody played well and we did well against Claywater. But again, I mentioned to you that from a fan's point of view, that defensive line, the penetration that they got. Yes. And this week, it's the same thing. In my mind, that defensive line's penetration, their ability to tackle. Mm-hmm. I mean, they just don't miss a lot of tackles.
No, they're not just space eaters and hoping the linebackers make the plays. No, they go to make plays.
Yeah.
And they are.
They really are. And so we're going to look at some of that here in a few minutes. And some of the film, we've got some great shots of just that thing. But I thought that was pretty amazing how well they played. So what did you see that you need to continue to work on?
Well, there were a few things, starting with the defense, since I started with them a minute ago, that I know Coach Edwards is looking at, bust here or there, on their first drive when they scored their touchdown, caught the guy in the back of the end zone. We had a communication breakdown. So, that they brought motion and we didn't get that taken care of, communicating. And so the tight end got the leverage on our safety, and, we've got to tighten things like that up. Offensively, we never got into a rhythm. And so we have a lot that we've got to get tightened up. Yeah. It's not a matter of the scheme or whatever. It's a matter of us, every guy, doing his job. And when we get our guys doing our job, then you're going to see us moving the ball and scoring again. And the other night, we struggled to find that rhythm.
Well, and again, you don't want to. It's the same for both teams. Mm-hmm. The ball's wet. It's wet conditions. Obviously, we throw the ball a lot. Mm-hmm. Makes it tough. And we had a little bit of an exchange problem between the quarterback and
we had
the
trouble.
center, and we got to continue to work on that.
Absolutely. That hurt us. And, when that exchange is struggling, then it throws the timing off on a lot of things. And so, I'm not even going to blame it on a wet ball. Regardless, those are things we can't control. We have to control where we make the play.
Yeah.
And we didn't the other night.
We talked about that on the broadcast the other night. We were talking about how it throws the timing off. Right. Even if it's a run play.
Correct.
If you're having to go down and pick it up, this guy has to stutter step.
Absolutely.
This guy, he can only hold his block so long.
That's right.
If it's a pass, it's even worse.
Yes.
Tenths of a second is in execution.
That's right.
If you have to pick up a ball off the ground.
Now I just lost my progression read.
You did. Exactly. So if the linebackers are coming in or dropping back. So that's something I'm sure you guys will get worked out. Yes. Not even worried about it. So why don't we go to the film and let's look at a couple of things. We've got some plays here that we've selected to look at that are kind of highlights. This particular game, we could have picked a lot.
Yes.
There's a lot to talk about in this game. Hard-fought ball game between really two good ball clubs here.
Yes, sir.
So the first one I want to talk about is pretty key. So they were up 14-0, 2.5 minutes into the game. Right. So we're thinking, okay, we got to get a momentum shift here. And then we come back, we score, and then they're coming back down the field, and they're inside. I think they're on
our 16-yard line.
Yeah, 16-yard line.
Right.
So they're like knocking at the door again. You're thinking, oh my gosh, not good, because it's still earlier in the game.
Right.
And then we get a big interception.
That's
this was Marche
Spraglin. That's right. You see him at corner up at the top of the screen. I've got him circled right there. And he's jamming the receiver inside the 5 yards. The quarterback tries to make the throw anyway. Marche comes off, makes the pick, and runs it back out of their red zone area. Huge turnover right there.
Big play, big momentum changer.
Big momentum changer.
Yeah, that was a big momentum changer.
That was big.
I thought that was great. The next one was when we get down the field, we'd march down the field, and we're inside. We're down here, inside the red zone.
Right.
And Parker Gillow scores another touchdown.
Right.
And what's cool about this, and watch this in the replay, he's actually forced out of bounds. He's pushed out of bounds. He has to work his way back and has presence of mind to know where he is.
Gets his feet in bounds. The ball is off the hands of another player, and he's still able to stay focused and make the play. Tremendous concentration on his part. He's at the top of the screen. He's working outside. The defender's knocking him around. He gets back into the end zone and makes the play in the back of the end zone. Huge.
Is that where that pass was intended to go from the start, by the way?
That is up for question, because I'm not positive if he was throwing it to Jerron or to Parker. Now, that's where everybody was supposed to go.
Yeah.
But Dron actually could have caught the ball.
Yeah.
So
we were
I'd have to
wondering.
ask Brandon on that.
And I gave credit during the game. I gave credit to Mason instead of Parker, but we went back and fixed
There
it.
you
So
go.
I apologize,
There you
Parker.
go.
That was a great catch.
Oh,
Good
great
first time.
catch. Yes.
So here's the one of my favorite things we're going to talk about. These next 3 plays we're going to look at are all sacks.
Right.
In the beginning of the game, we predicted that there'd be at least 4 sacks in this game, and you guys had how many?
9.
9 sacks.
9 sacks.
I mean, that's
crazy.
ridiculous.
I don't remember if I've ever heard, of a 9-sack game.
That's crazy. 9 sacks. So we're going to watch 3 of them right here and talk us through it and tell us who the guys are.
Our 3 down linemen right here you see are Matt Burton, Jet Jones, and McKeon. Gosh, my first
Christian
name.
McKeon.
Thank you, Tristan McKeon. Sorry, it just went out of my head. And you see them. I'm going to go back to it. Getting off the ball, getting into the offensive lineman, getting penetration, and there's nowhere for the quarterback to go. And they swarm him and sack him.
All 3 of them got a piece of him.
All 3 of them were on that one. Those 3 guys just did a tremendous job. Okay, so here, this is not the same play. This is another play where these guys are getting off the ball. They're making the line of scrimmage in their backfield. Matt gets through. Matt Burton spins off his block, grabs hold of the quarterback. He's slinging him around, and Luke Watson comes in and finishes him off. So that was another big play. Then we have here. We've got Henderson trying to move the ball. They're trying to get there. They're close to the 50-yard line, trying to get across the midfield section. And so you're going to see Jet here at nose guard. Jet's not a big guy, but he's relentless, and he just keeps working all the way around his guy and grabs him by the feet and takes him down.
Yeah, he had a great game. And I understand he was the defensive player of the game.
The coaches selected him as defensive player of the game.
Yeah. So let me tell you something I don't know if you know yet. I don't know if you've seen this. It's Sunday afternoon when we're filming this, obviously. But we were Mark Skinner keeps the stats, and he's in the booth with us. And so in the second quarter, they actually went negative 2 yards of offense. And in the third quarter, they only gained 2 yards of offense back.
That's pretty impressive.
I mean, you guys were pretty stingy on their side of the ball, and they played a great defensive game.
They did.
But that may be some kind of record for
pretty
Gilmer.
amazing.
I mean, it really is. Take away those 2.
A good team.
Yeah,
Right.
a real good team.
Right.
So the yardage was very low
Phenomenal.
for those guys,
Phenomenal.
and so I thought this defensive unit kind of reminds me. I have to go all the way back to like 04.
Mm-hmm.
You know that where you had
Right.
the Dodd brothers
Right.
and all that. In there, and so you great defensive
That kind of
effort there.
potential. That's
Yeah,
right.
it does. They're
really
very
does.
aggressive up front.
Yes.
The next deal that we're going to look at here is Spraglin's touchdown. This was a go route down the sideline. He actually had 2 of those. We're going to talk about the other one in a minute. It still aggravates me.
Right.
And so talk us through this one.
Here we are. It's right before half, and we're in a situation where we need to take a chunk, and so we just call a fly route with Marche down the sideline, and Brandon does a great job. The secondary is playing deep, and he throws him to the outside, which is where you want to put it. Marche makes the adjustment, catches it, and he's in the end zone.
So let me ask you a question. You're down on the sideline. You obviously have coaches upstairs talking to you. So when you're making a decision about when to call what play, how does that work? Like, are you on the sideline saying, I'm thinking go route? Or are these guys looking at things on the field and saying, Coach, this is what we recommend?
Both.
Do you have ultimately you can change the play if you don't like it, but how do y'all do that so fast?
A lot of this, it goes back, it's what we've done for years here. When Jeff came in and Matt Turner and those guys, a lot of this goes back to Bill Walsh. I hate to say that because I'm a Cowboy fan, but he was so meticulous in his planning.
Yeah.
And so if you read his book, Finding the Winning Edge, he talks about all this and the ability to think quickly in a game. Well, all of it's done during the week. So we have landmarks on our sheet, and when we get to certain places, we know what plays we want to do at that place on the field.
Yeah.
So when you hit a certain landmark, if we want to go, obviously we could run a regular run play, but if you're wanting to get in the end zone, well, then you have your list and it's ordered. This is the first one we want to do. This is the second one we want to do from the 45. This is the first one we want to do. This is the second one we want to do at the 40. Well, that was our first one at the 45. And so when we said we want to take a shot, well, that was the play. So all that flows quickly.
So they're calling it down.
Yes.
They're looking at the
card
game
that we've done throughout the week and all the film study and so forth, and we sit down and we go, okay, these are the things we want to do at the 45.
Okay.
These are the things we want to do.
And that changes week to week.
Oh, absolutely. Depending on what they do and the film study and so forth.
And so he's calling it off the card to you and says, Coach, we're up for a go route.
Yep.
And you either say no or go on that deal.
That's it.
How often do you override a call coming out of that back? I think everybody would be curious to know.
I would say it doesn't happen a lot because we've spent many, many hours of work preparing for that.
Yeah.
So they have to be doing something that you haven't seen to really change it.
Yeah.
Unless they come out and run a completely different thing, which most people don't. Most people who are good don't. They run what they run.
Yeah.
And so
it's amazing how much of this entire game is
done
just strategy ahead of time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's the reason y'all are up here on a Sunday afternoon.
That's why we're here all the weekend. People go, what do you do up there? Well, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's right.
Getting ready for that next
planning.
One.
That's right.
So this next one, that was the go route. Now this next one is also a go route to Spraglin.
Yes, sir.
And from my vantage point, and they wouldn't show the replay. They showed replays all night in Henderson, and they did not show this replay because I wanted Eric to turn around and show. We were going to film it, the replay, but we do have it here, and we don't have a close shot, unfortunately, but we do, and we'll try to slow it down or pause it when you get down there.
Okay.
This was the offensive pass interference that I know you don't like to say anything derogatory toward a ref, and I'm not asking you to. Okay.
I'll handle that. Been a touchdown.
I'll handle that at this moment because I believe that that this was not offensive pass interference. I don't think he pushed off. I think the guy fell. Both are eligible receivers. He reaches back. If you look, he reaches over the back of his back and makes a great catch. The kid just falls down, but it looked like to the umpire behind him that he pushed him down. And they do the best they can, right? You win some, you lose some.
Right.
I think this is a touchdown.
I wish that they had called it that way, and it looks that way. Marche does a great job on his route. Brandon throws a beautiful ball. He reaches up and makes the catch. I'll run it back to right in here is where...
So you can see his arm. He's coming back. He's not pushing.
Right.
He's coming back over the back of him. If you'll look at that last... first go route he did. He kind of did the same thing. He turned into the ball.
Correct.
And I think that was a touchdown. We didn't get it.
I would have
liked to have had it. I would be more angry had he not walked away with a win, right? But
correct.
Sometimes you get
sometimes
it goes both
win,
ways.
Sometimes they win on the
goes both ways. So I try not to gripe too much about that.
There you go.
That one hurt my feelings a little bit. This next one was probably the play of the game.
It was big.
These next two are probably plays of the game, actually, one behind the other. It's hard to say which more important, but this one probably the play.
I agree.
And because this is where they march down the field. Now it's 20-22. They have to go for two because they just got a few minutes left.
Exactly.
They go for two, and we stop them.
Right. You see them line up. Our nose guard, the guy right over the center, it's Jet Jones, is going to start his rush. Quarterback rolls out, and Jet comes all the way down the line and tackles him.
That's a lot of hustle for a nose guard.
That is a lot of hustle right there.
That's a lot of hustle for the nose guard. Because you would think outside linebacker, that's his job right there, right?
They were covering the receivers and trying to make sure nobody was dragging over there, and then here comes your nose guard.
The nose guard out of nowhere. That's effort right there.
That is tremendous.
And that kept them from tying the ball game and going into overtime. So that was a huge play. And then finally, the one where the ultimate celebration broke out. A minute left in the game.
Right.
The interception by Rowan Flewell.
Rowan has a real knack for finding the ball. He's very skilled. He has great hands. So he's in the middle of our secondary back there reading the quarterback. He sees the guy coming across the field, steps in front, picks the pass, then has the savvy to slide, where you're not going to get hit and fumble
the ball. I thought that was great for
tremendous
sophomore.
Job. Yes,
sophomore.
You can tell he's grown up with all his brothers playing, being at all the games. He's been a ball boy
about
for
that.
us.
I mean, you're a sophomore.
Yeah,
this is a 15-year-old kid playing at a varsity level. His second varsity game has the presence of mind to slide instead of going and possibly taking a fumble.
Says a lot.
It does. Yeah. It does. He's got a good football mind. So I thought that was great.
Yes, sir.
So now we go to Atlanta.
Yes.
So what can we expect this week from Atlanta?
Well, anytime you play Atlanta, they can run. They're the Rabbits.
Yeah. It's always a track meet.
Always a track meet. They have guys who can score in one play. They have a really good tailback. Number 5, he can go. He's quick. They're playing two different quarterbacks right now. One is Coach McClure's son, and he played more in the first game against Dangerfield. They moved a sophomore in who's playing kind of a wildcat position. Mm-hmm. He played a good bit more in their game against Paul Pewitt, and he can really run. So he's more of the scat type athlete, whereas McClure is more of the not that McClure's not a good athlete, but he's more of a traditional type quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they played both of them. They were ahead of Dangerfield 6-0 in the fourth quarter, and then Dangerfield came back and won 16-6 on some plays where their quarterback just made some incredible plays and extended the play and threw it to a guy and scored. So they had a heartbreaker there. Paul Pewitt kind of got onto him a little bit, you know, in their wing team. Of course, they're coming off of a great season last year. So they've got talent. They're always fast. Coach McClure's been there for over a decade. He's got tremendous winning percentage in his time in Atlanta. So it'll be a challenge.
They're going to run the spread.
They look very much like us in
even
what they do, offensively and defensively.
Yeah,
they do. So they'll be spread on offense unless they go with the Wildcat. It's kind of a mixture pass and run. And if they go to the Wildcat, you'll see a lot more running. With number 4 at the quarterback. Defensively, they're traditionally a 50 or an odd front like us, and they still do it, but they've mixed in a good bit more 4 down this year. They've slid to it and get in that, but we should be okay handling those two.
So this will be our last away game before we get to come home. We get to come home and play Lindale. Mm-hmm. Lindale, and then we got Carthage here.
Lindale and Carthage.
So we got 2 back-to-back, and then we go to Open.
Then we have Open,
and then we start district, right?
3 home games after our 3 road.
Yeah, so after this road game, we got 3 at home, so that'll be great. So we're excited about that. Congratulations on your second win.
Thank you. I'll take it.
Keeping that winning percentage alive.
We'll take it. We'll take it. Even though we didn't play maybe like we wanted to, I'm grateful they found a way.
I was glad to get out of there healthy.
That's right.
Get everybody out and get out healthy, and so we got some players coming back.
We do
this next week.
Should.
That's going to be great.
That'll help.
And so there it is, folks. Gilmer 22. Henderson 20.
We'll take it.
We'll take it. We'll get it. We'll see you guys live on Friday night as the Gilmer Buckeyes take on the Atlanta Rabbits.